Today on the Star Trek Critic, a show which people think is good or bad depending on how you look at it, cause and effect. The best part is that the Enterprise explodes over and over again.
Yes!
But the first point is lost since the ship stops spinning while it explodes. Somehow I got the impression this was sped up. There hasn't been a poker game in a while, and I think this is Riker's quarters, but I don't see the trombone or the horgone. The plot. The Enterprise has been caught in a time loop for a total of 17 days, and each of these scenes covers close to 1 day's time, so they probably repeated it 17 to 20 times, and these are most likely the last 7 times they went through the loop. 1 point lost since they are all in uniform well after hours. 1 point lost. Beverly bids 20 with only 1 chip. Then she giggles like Wallace. 1 point lost for the 24-hour medical staff calling for the doctor in the middle of the night. This was not that type of emergency, and Beverly is the first to feel like this has been done before. 1 point lost for jabbing something straight into your carotid artery. It will go straight to your brain and mess you up real bad. Now she copies Morticia Addams. Beverly is dressed all in pink. That's sexist. And just what is this blue bowl for? She uses it as a book holder. 1 point lost for a white line at the bottom of the screen. Geordi talks about the Typhon expanse. Beverly says she heard voices in her room last night, but they are all thinking it was a ghost. Data says I number 1, 20,000 kilometers is about the length of the Earth. Riker maneuver number 2. Rose says I number 2. They see the cloud and think, great, Nagelum is back. 1 point lost for not doing both suggestions. The Bozeman hits the port nacelle, but it is the starboard nacelle that explodes, so -1 point. Here is the same white line, but this is for a different scene. -1 point. Shout out to director Jonathan Frakes for shooting each time loop from different angles. It must have been very frustrating for the actors to do the same scene over and over again. Beverly thinks of her long-lost husband. They have gone through these time loops so many times they are starting to remember going through them before. This scene is from the opening credits, so -1 point. What if Geordi's dizziness is from being injected 17 times in a row? That could kill him too. Beverly and Geordi both feel like they have done this before. Look closely. 1 time he was treated for the common cold. I thought that didn't exist anymore. They feel like they are on the Matrix.
Oh, déjà vu.
Beverly holds wine glasses weird, and she slid the glass off the table this time, so -1 point. And why did it break when it landed on carpet? Picard says, look at my cool gray shirt, but why am I wearing it in the middle of the night? So -1 point. And why did Beverly get back into uniform, but leave on her pink bow? -1 more point. Picard says, try out this steamed milk with nutmeg. And Beverly says, ew. This is disgusting. I'd rather get plastered with Jack Daniels. Picard says, I was wondering, why are we still reading books printed on paper so far into the future? Will does Riker maneuver number 3. Rose says I number 3. Here comes the Bozeman, and the Enterprise explodes at a different angle. The explosion is what pushed the Enterprise back through the time loop, but how did the Bozeman get pushed back? -1 point for that plot hole. Another point lost for a poor plot. Seeing the same thing over and over again is annoying. Worf is experiencing the nib hole, that irritation when you hear the narrator using an AI-generated voice. Data says, I use an AI voice. Does that mean you find me irritating? And Worf says, well actually, yes it does. Data quotes Sherlock Holmes. Nurse Ogawa says Geordi just walked in, even caught in a time loop. Extras cross when doors open. Picard is called into sickbay. Beverly has realized something is going on that is affecting Geordi's visor, and it might be the warp field generator. Geordi says I number 4 and magically disappears. Did you notice Picard is in a red shirt while the last time he was in a gray shirt? This time Beverly manages to record the voices but still breaks the wine glass. All 3 of them are working overtime now. Data discovers those are the voices of the Enterprise crew. Deanna and Riker enter together since they were just doing the nasty. Beverly called them all in early to tell them who the murderer is. Geordi says they are caught in a time loop. This is where 1 point is lost for not calling Starfleet to find out how long they have been trapped. And another point lost since someone off the ship would have contacted them at least once during those 17 days. But they have discovered what has been causing the deja vu feeling. Worf recommends turning around. Both Riker and Picard say, Worf, we ignored Wesley when he had sound advice, so we have to ignore you too and keep going until we explode. Worf is thinking, No wonder Wesley quit. Their solution is to send a message back in time through data, which they hope someone will understand.
Everybody got that?
Geordi tries to hack Data's brain. Beverly is wearing her smock. 1 point lost for a single set of doors on the turbolift. Will does Riker maneuver number 4. Rose says I number 5. So it's time for a pre-explosion drink. Beverly's smock is missing. -1 point. Luckily, Data remembered to send himself a message at the last second. They explode, and 1 point lost since the Enterprise stopped spinning since it is hanging from a cable. 400 years in the future, they will have crappy chairs on spaceships. Worf is still experiencing that irritation when the narrator uses an AI-generated voice. Data says, I use an AI voice. Does that mean you find me irritating? And Worf says, well, actually, yes it does. They all know what the cards are going to be, but Data is onto them, and has stacked the deck, all 3s, followed by 3 of a kind. There is no way Beverly can call Riker's bluff now. Geordi is in sickbay, and is wondering why the 24-hour staff can't treat anyone for dizziness. Both of them realize they have experienced deja vu all over again. Picard finally realizes what he has been reading for the past 17 days. This time, Picard is wearing his gray shirt with a red overcoat, like he is immune to the time loop or something. Geordi says, I, number 6. This conversation is what causes Geordi and Data to both be in engineering for overtime. Geordi acts like seeing all the 3s is a normal occurrence in a diagnostic. Then Beverly says she heard voices, but Data and Geordi both know it's just that ghost. This is a rare overhead shot of the conference room. 1 point lost for not considering they might need Data to send a message again. He really overdid the 3 thing. In the real world, Jonathan Frakes had a back injury, which is why he props his leg up relieve the pressure, which has been called the Riker maneuver. This is the only show where he does it 5 times, so let's celebrate with another drink. Rose says I number 6. Worf says you should have listened to me the last 17 times. If the Bozeman did this 17 times, wouldn't they now be 1,500 years in the future? 1 point lost since everything they do takes longer than 36 seconds. This is when Data realizes the sad truth that his suggestion got them all killed. He will never be the same. Hopefully no one was in the cargo bay at this time or they will be dead. 1 point lost since the shuttles inside don't bounce around. Battlestar Galactica got that one right. The lights come back on and Beverly is wondering, why does my arm hurt? Picard says, Data, what happened? Data says, you listened to me instead of your own first officer and we exploded 17 times in a row. Also, I just sent the shuttle bay team out into space. Sucks to be them. Worf says their clocks are off by 17 days, and no one from Starfleet tried to call us during that time. We must have been canceled. Beverly is thinking, there must be 100 women on the ship who just had their periods. Restart 17 times. Their poor hoo-haws are going to be really screwed up. Data says I number 7. They are being hailed by the Bozeman. Captain Bateson introduces himself. Picard says he is captain of the Enterprise. Bateson says, no, that's not the Enterprise, and those are silly uniforms. You look like a crayon commercial. You should get the new uniforms like we got. They were just issued. Picard says, what year is this? Bateson says 2278, which is right between the first 2 Star Trek movies. Picard says there is something we need to discuss. Tell Chekhov and Terrell not to beam down to SETI Alpha 6, and they fly off into the sunset together. The Bozeman only experienced the time loop after it came through the cloud. It was not stuck in the time loop for 90 years. Captain Bateson was played by Kelsey Grammer, who was born in the Virgin Islands and has won 6 Emmys. He made the character Frasier famous and has been on 100 other shows. There is no way he was stuck in a time loop for 90 years. Cause and effect. Star Trek's Groundhog Day episode, which was a bottle show that could have lost points 17 times in a row, gets a score of 77. Be sure to leave comments below, click that like button, the share button, and subscribe button, and come back next week for the first duty.